Ever since its release, Moons of Peril has been a go-to piece of content for people stuck in the mid-game. It has great gateway gear to catapult yourself out of the mid-game and go start doing raids or other more high-level content. And while it resembles Barrows in a lot of ways, the maths behind Moons of Peril actually makes it a whole lot better. And what do I mean? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I created a video where I went over the Barrows statistics and questions like how long does it take to complete the Barrows collection log. The conclusion ended up being that it takes 1320 chests on average to complete the Barrows collection log. And how much is that for Moons of Peril? How many chests do you have to open to get any specific set? For Barrows it was a little over 300. And say you're targeting the boppers, the most valuable item by far from the lunar chest, then how many chests do you have to open? All that and more is what we're going to be talking about today. Well, let's start with the base mechanics. Say you're hunting a specific item. In Barrows, it was the case that you are better off to kill all 6 Barrows brothers, even if you're just hunting one individual item, because each brother you kill would give you an additional roll on the loot table, meaning that your odds of getting an item in the chest is bigger. But for the lunar chest, this is not the case. In the lunar chest, you get a flat 1 in 56 chance for each moon that you kill. So if you kill the blood moon, you get a 1 in 56 chance to get a blood moon piece in the chest, even if you don't kill the other 2. If you do kill the other 2, you have a 1 of 56 chance for each of the moon sets. So a 1 in 56 for an eclipse piece, a 1 in 56 for a blood moon piece, and a 1 in 56 for a blue moon piece. So, if you're hunting one specific set, in the lunar chest, it might be better to hunt one specific moon. Alright, well now let's put the numbers next to each other. The Barrows brothers have 24 items in total. The Perilous moons have 12. For Barrows, you'd see one item in the chest on average once every 15 chests. But now, what is that for Perilous moons? Is it more or is it less? Well, we can calculate it since we know that every moon adds a 1 in 56 flat drop rate if you kill them. Then all you need to calculate is what are the odds of us not getting any item. Well, that means we have to miss the roll of 1 in 56 3 times. So we take the inverse, which is 55 over 56, and we say that that needs to happen 3 times. And because probabilities need to add up to 1, we take 1 minus this probability, which gives us the probability that we get any item in our chest, and that is approximately 1 in 19. So it's slightly rarer to see an item in the lunar chest than it is in the Barrows chest, but keep in mind there are fewer items in the lunar chest to begin with. So you are less likely to see a moon's item in a chest than you are to see a Barrows item in a chest. And Barrows has approximately twice the amount of items that the lunar moons do. So that must mean that in order to complete the moon's collection log, you're probably done about twice as fast compared to Barrows, right? Well, no. And this is because of a special mechanic that Jagex added for Perilous moons exactly to prevent what happened with Barrows, where people would go thousands of chests without completing the collection log, and that is duplicate protection. See, in Moons of Peril, if you get an item, you will not be able to get that item again unless you complete the entire set. Let's see what that means for any set if we put them side to side. Let's compare Guffins with the Blood Moon set. Let's say I get a Guffin's helm. The next time I get a Guffin's item, I can still roll the helm. That means that if my item is another Guffin's item, I now only have a 75% chance that it is a new item. And this only gets rarer and rarer the further we go down this list. If I'm only needing one more item, say Guffin's Spear, then I have a 25% chance to get that item even if I know I'm already rolling Guffins. This is a smaller version of the coupon collector's problem, and it states that on average we would need to roll Guffins 8 times to get the full set. Now, if we compare this problem with the Blood Moon set, because we are not allowed to get duplicates, what is the average amount of Blood Moon pieces that we need in order to complete the Blood Moon set? Well, that's easy. It's 4. So we get rid of this harmonic factor behind the 4. So the harmonic factor shows up in a Barrows set, but not in a Moon set. This change alone makes it such that you get a set twice as fast in Perilous Moons than you do in Barrows. But this is not the only thing that matters. In the previous video, we saw that on average you have to open 728 chests in order to get a specific Barrow set, say a TzarOSRS set, if you were hunting for one. Well, if you're doing Perilous Moons, this drops all the way down to 224. Now, why is it nearly 3.5 times shorter instead of 2 times shorter, like we just showed, to get your Perilous Moon set? Well, it depends on a couple of factors, and when you combine these factors together, you get a dramatically shorter grind. But before we combine those factors, let's see how you actually arrive at the 224 number that I just showed you. Well, that is easier than you might think. We've already established that the odds of getting a single item from a set that you want is 1 in 56. And since you will not get any duplicates, you just need to hit that 1 in 56 4 times across your grind. Now, in order to calculate the average amount of chests that you would need to open to get the full set, you just do 4 times 56. It is that easy with this flat drop rate. This arrives at 224 chests. However, if you want to calculate, say, when do I have a 50% chance at getting a full Blood Moon set, then we have to go to the negative binomial. And now we're gonna see each loot of a chest as an independent Bernoulli trial with a success rate of 1 in 56. From these Bernoulli trials, we need 4 successes, 4 hits, if you will. And if we take the formula for the negative binomial and we plug in this probability of 1 in 56, and the amount of successes 4, and we want a result that shows us a 50% chance of getting the full set, we arrive at 206, which is super close to the average of 224. And that is exactly because of that bad luck mitigation. Normally, the 50% chance point and the average are super far apart because there is no bad luck mitigation, which pushes the average way up. But in this case, they are fairly close together at 224 for the average and then 206 for the median. Now, those are just the results for completing one set. How about completing the entire collection log? In the Barrows videos, we saw that on average that takes 1,320 chests. But how many does it take for Perilous Moons? Well, let's look at it this way. We know that in order to complete the collection log, we need to get all 3 sets. And we know that on average, we need 224 kills to complete a single set. But the time it will take us to complete the entire collection log is equal to the time it will take us to complete the set that takes us the longest, right? We have to complete 3 sets. They will all be completed within some amount of time, with an average of 224, but one of them is going to take longer than the other 2. And that's the one we're getting most unlucky on, and will go probably over the 224. But the question is, how many will you go over the average for that particular set, and how do we calculate that? Well, because we know the underlying distribution of the problem, And because we're very good at using fancy maths to solve these kinds of solutions, we can set up a cumulative distribution function that we denote with this letter f. Now, the only thing this distribution shows us is what is the probability that we complete a certain set before kill n. So you plug in a number n, say 50, and it will show you the probability that you complete a single moon set before 50 chests. And now if we set up the expectation for what we're interested in, which is when we complete all 3 sets, the formula looks something like this. And this might be a little confusing, so let me walk you through. What we're gonna do is for all 3 sets, that's why you have fn to the power of 3, for all 3 sets, we are interested in the probability of getting the sets completed at 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kills, all the way up until infinite kills. If we multiply those probabilities by the amount of chests and we weigh them accurately, we can calculate the average. So that is what this formula is doing here. And if we do that, we come out to 320 chests. Now, for Barrows, this was 1320 chests. So what makes it that Moons of Peril is 4 times faster to complete than Barrows? Well, there's multiple factors, and while this math is not going to be very exact, it will show you the largest factors that come into play in the differences. First of all, at Barrows, you have a better chance of getting a drop. On average, the number of Barrows pieces that you will see per chest is 1 in every 14.57. While at Perilous Moons, that number is 1 in 18.67. So if we correct for this factor, we take the 1320 chests, we correct it by this factor, and we get 1691. Now our chest count is higher for Moons of Peril compared to Barrows, which does not make any sense. And that is because we have not accounted for the biggest difference between the two. The biggest difference between Barrows and Moons is the amount of items you need to get before you complete the collection log. At Barrows, we calculated that you need 90.62 items on average to complete all the 24 slots in the collection log, whereas with Moons, you're gonna need only 17.14 items. Only 5 more items than there are on the collection log in total to complete the collection log. And now if we turn this into a factor and we correct the amount of chests we have for this factor, we arrive at our final result of 320 chests. However, the average is not the only way that Moons of Peril is better and faster than Barrows. If we let 1 million players complete the entirety of Barrows and the entirety of Perilous Moons, then we can overlay at what amount of chests they completed the collection log. And if we do that and we add these graphs on top of each other, we see that not only is Moons of Peril way faster to complete on average, it is also way more predictable. Because of the duplicate protection system, there is a lot less variance in the amount of kills you need to do for Perilous Moons compared to Barrows, which has very wide tills, meaning that you can get super unlucky super easily. And that is why Moons of Peril is so much faster to complete than Barrows is. And this is how Jagex have fixed their previous mistake. If you like statistics breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe and also check out my 50/50 series, which is an Ironman where I show a lot more statistics because I can only kill a mob until I have a 50% chance at getting that mob's rarest item. If you want to discuss some more statistics, you can also check out the Discord server. It is linked down below. In there, you can discuss all the statistics you want, and I'll make sure to get to every question that pops in there. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.